So friends, today we will discuss hemochromatosis. Hemochromatosis. So what is hemochromatosis? By understanding the hemochromatosis, in short you can remember there is iron overload in the body. This iron overload can occur because of some genetic defect, then it is primary, or it is having some other acquired causes. For example, if the patient with thalassemia major undergo repeated blood transfusion, that can build up iron in the body. Okay, and sometimes in patient with sideroblastic anemia, in this patient also repeated blood transfusion has to be given, and that can lead to the iron overload, and this is secondary hemochromatosis. So secondary hemochromatosis is due to some acquired causes, and primary hemochromatosis is having some genetic defect. So we will take primary hemochromatosis. Primary hemochromatosis is having some genetic defect, and it is an autosomal recessive disease. Okay, so what is hemochromatosis? Now what are we going to talk about is the primary hemochromatosis. In the primary hemochromatosis is a group of genetic diseases. It is a group of genetic diseases which is autosomal recessive, that ultimately lead to the iron overload in the body. Iron gets overloaded in these individuals with genetic defect. I will talk about the genes later on. And because of the defective genes, there is iron overload, and this iron overload ultimately lead to the fibrosis of the major organ. For example, the liver undergo fibrosis, sometimes pancreas also, and also in heart it can undergo fibrosis, and this fibrosis ultimately lead to the failure of these major organs. There is fibrosis and failure of these organs. So what is hemochromatosis? Hemochromatosis is a group of genetic diseases basically, and these individuals will predispose to the iron overload, and this iron overload is toxic for major organs, for example liver and pancreas and heart, and that organs get failed, that lead to the hemochromatosis. Okay, so what is hemochromatosis? A group of genetic disease that leads to the iron overload and fibrosis and failure of the major organs. Now I will try to classify the iron overloads. What are the conditions in which irons get overloaded in the body? Okay, so we see the classification now. So this is the classification of iron overload. Iron overload could be hereditary, which is primary, or it could be acquired causes, which is secondary hemochromatosis, and some miscellaneous causes. So what are the genes that are defected and can lead to the iron overload? It is 90% of the cases it is HFE related gene, which is type 1 hemochromatosis, and in 10% of the cases it is non-HFE related gene, which is mutated. So HFE mutation you can see in patients with mutations in C282Y homozygosity mutations, and also you see in C282Y plus H63D compound heterozygosity mutation. It is seen in 90% of the cases, and non-HFE related is further classified as juvenile, which is type 2A, where you find the hemojuvelin mutation, and 2B, where hepcidin mutation you see. Because of these mutations, iron gets overloaded in the body. Also there is TFR2 mutation and CLC11A3 mutations you see in the hereditary hemochromatosis. So you have to remember these genes. This is HFE related and non-HFE related. In HFE related is C282Y, I repeat C282Y and C282Y plus H63D heterozygosity mutations. This is most important, that is HFE related. Okay, so now we will take what are the acquired causes that can lead to the iron overload in the body. Acquired causes could be due to the iron loading anemias. What are the iron loading anemias? I mean, we patients with thalassemia major, where you have to give the repeated blood transfusion that build up iron in the body. Also patients with sideroblastic anemia, chronic hemolytic anemia, and sometimes transfusional parenteral iron therapy and dietary iron overload can lead to the iron overloading anemias. And also chronic liver disease can build up iron in the body, for example hepatitis C infection, alcoholic cirrhosis, non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, that is NASH, can lead to the iron overload in the body. Porphyria cutanea tarda can lead to the iron overload in the body, and some other causes also there. And in the miscellaneous causes you should be remembering neonatal iron overload, and in sub-Saharan African you find the iron overloading anemia. Also ceruloplasminemia, where the ceruloplasmin level goes down, and because of the ceruloplasmin going down there is iron buildup in the body. Also there is atransferinemia, can lead to the iron overload in the body. So these are the various classification of iron overload anemia. It could be hereditary or it could be acquired. Acquired could be iron loading anemias or chronic liver disease, and some are miscellaneous causes. For example, in neonatal iron overload, aceruloplasminemia, atransferinemia, and iron overload anemias in sub-Saharan African. Okay. Now we will see what is the pathophysiology, how this happens, how the iron gets overloaded in the body. Pathophysiology we will see now. So you should be knowing that total body iron is how much? It is 3 to 4 gram of total body iron in the body. Total body iron in the body is 3 to 4 gram. So absorption and loss, I will tell you know how much the iron is absorbed and how much the iron is lost. It is in man about 1 milligram of iron is absorbed and 1 milligram of iron is lost, and in the female it is around 1.5. okay, so this is the absorption and loss. But what happens in patients with hemochromatosis, more than 4 milligram of iron is absorbed but there is no loss of iron, and because of the absorption is more, the iron gets accumulated in the body, that can lead to the toxicity. Okay, so iron overload and can lead to the iron toxicity because absorption is increased in patients with hemochromatosis. So what exactly happen, how does this happen, I will tell you now. For example, in patients who having genetic defect is in the HFE protein or HFE gene is mutated. So what actually this gene is normally doing, suppose the patient is having HFE gene, it forms your complex. I will draw a diagram of intestinal epithelium cell. This is the luminal side of intestinal epithelial cell, and what is it exactly doing, HFE gene is forming a complex with beta microglobulin and transferrin receptor 1. okay, it is forming this complex with these two things, it is forming the complex, and because of the formation of the complex with the beta microglobulin and TFR1, the TFR does good work of iron absorption, it absorbs iron in the presence of HFE gene. So if this gene is mutated and HFE protein also gets mutated, and because of this their interaction will be hampered, and because of the hampering of this interaction the TFR will not work properly and there is less iron absorption, will go down, and in contrast to that decreased iron absorption because of the TFR not working well, there is increased or there is more working of DMT1, divalent metal transporter 1, and what is this transporter is doing, it start absorbing more and more iron gets absorbed because of the working of this DMT1. so in the patients with this protein gets mutated or these genes get mutated, TFR doesn't work. If TR doesn't work, DMT start working more and it start absorbing more and more iron absorption. So this is one mechanism how iron gets more absorbed in patients with this genetic defect. Also you should also be knowing that if patients HFE protein or gene is mutated, then their liver produce very less hepcidin. These are the hepcidin molecule and it is normally produce more if the HFE gene is working normally, but if it is mutated then hepcidin will produce less. And what this hepcidin is doing, suppose this is the intestinal epithelial cell and this is the basolateral side, and in the basolateral side we have the ferroportin. This is ferroportin, and ferroportin normally absorbs the iron, and this absorption is being blocked by the hepcidin. Okay, so if patient having HFE mutation, this hepcidin will be less and there is less blockage will be less and ferroportin will work more and it stops absorbing more iron in the body, and that lead to the iron toxicity. Okay, so this is another mechanism. This is called hepcidin model of iron overload. Okay, so I will now explain the diagram. This is hepcidin model in HFE mutation. What is actually happening in this is normally hepcidin is released in a very good amount with normal HFE protein, and this keeps this ferroportin shut or regulate this ferroportin in such a way that there is less iron toxicity. Okay, this ferroportin is also present in macrophages, and there is also regulate the iron. Iron regulation is also done in the macrophages in the similar way. So if patient is having HFE mutation, then hepcidin is produced less, and this blockage on the ferroportin is less, and there is ferroportin became dysregulated, and that can lead to the increased iron absorption, which you are seeing in the diagram. And this absorption also you can see from the macrophages, and there is uncontrolled release of iron from the macrophage and duodenal enterocyte. So this mechanism you should remember how the hemochromatosis develops. Okay, now I will tell you what are the clinical manifestations, what are the clinical features you will see in a patient with hemochromatosis. Okay, so there are 4 stages. First there is genetic defect. But there is no abnormality seen in the patient. Okay, then the patient is having iron overload, but patient doesn't have any symptoms. Iron overload is there, but there is no symptoms. Stage 2. In the stage 3 there is iron overload plus there is symptoms. This stage 3. In the stage 4, iron overload plus the patient start having the organ damage. When the patient start having organ damage in the presence of iron overload, it is stage 4. So okay, these stages you should be remembering for hemochromatosis. Then the symptoms are first the non-specific symptoms, and then the symptoms which are specific. So non-specific symptoms are that patient usually presents with features of fatigue, lethargy. Patient having fatigue, lethargy, these are the symptoms you can see initially. You can also see some arthralgia, joint pains. Patient complain of joint pains. Patient may have loss of libido, or sometimes patient may have diabetes. These are non-specific symptoms, diabetes mellitus. And after that patient start having the specific symptoms. In 95% of the cases liver is involved, and in the liver there is enlargement of the liver, then patient undergoes cirrhosis, and ultimately hepatocellular carcinoma in the liver. So there is enlargement, cirrhosis and hepatocellular carcinoma. Then skin manifestation, there is metallic or slay grey skin you can see in the patient with hemochromatosis, metallic or slay grey hue. This is the discoloration you can see. It is occurs because of the iron and melanic gas deposited in the dermis of this individual. And there is bronzing of the skin. So hemochromatosis with bronzing of the skin with diabetes mellitus, you say the patient is having bronze diabetes you see in hemochromatosis. Okay, so now we will take the heart is also involved. Heart is involved in 50% of the cases. Heart is involved, and the presentation most commonly you see is CHF, congestive heart failure. You can also form arrhythmias, cardiomyopathies. These are the various things you can see. Okay, then in the pituitary is also affected by the iron overload in the pituitary gland, and that can lead to the hypogonadotropic hypogonadism. Hypogonadism, and the patient will having the libido loss. There will be loss of libido, and patient may be infertile, and these features can occur. Also joint is also involved, and it is involved in 25 to 50% of the patient. Joint is involved in patient with hemochromatosis, and the joints which are involved is the second and third metacarpophalangeal joint. Important to remember. Okay, and rare manifestation with hemochromatosis, there will be hypoadrenalism. These are rarely you can see. hypothyroidism. Hemochromatosis can have hypothyroidism, but very rarely hypothyroidism, and hypoparathyroidism. Okay, so these are the manifestations you can see with hemochromatosis. Okay, now how you will diagnose a patient with hemochromatosis? Diagnosis. So the patient comes to you with hemochromatosis. First you take the history and examination. In the history and examination, you will find the patient is having the joint pain, non-specific skin pigmentation, diabetes mellitus. Sometimes you on palpation, on examination, you may find the liver may be enlarged, and maybe joint pain, joint tenderness may be there. Okay, these are the history and examination is very important. And then you will do the functional assessment of various organs. For example, for if pancreas is affected, you can do the random blood sugar to diagnose the diabetes, or you can do the liver function test, or you can do the ECG for heart, liver function test for the liver, and routine investigation you will carry out. Okay, this is first step, history examination and some functional test of the major organs. Then you will see the elevated iron body stores to diagnose it. So how will you came to know that body iron store is increased? You will see the serum iron, it will be elevated. Also transfer in saturation, it will be increased. Then you will see the serum ferritin, it will be elevated. Then you also do the liver biopsy. In the liver biopsy you will see the iron concentration will be more in the liver, and the hepatic iron index will be increased. Hepatic iron index will be increased. You can also do the MRI of the liver, where can you see the increased iron overload. MRI of the liver. Okay, then I will tell you what is the screening test you are going to do with patient of hemochromatosis. Screening test is your transferrin saturation and serum ferritin. If this test is abnormal, that is saturation and ferritins are abnormal, then you can go for genetic testing of these individuals. Genetic testing. Okay, I want to tell you here that if you are having increase of 1 microgram per liter of ferritin, then about 5 milligram of iron body stores will increased. Iron body store will increase. Okay, so in this way you will diagnose, you will see this serum iron will be elevated, saturation will be high on the higher side, ferritin will be increased. In the liver biopsy you see the iron deposition, hepatic iron index will be more, and hemochromatosis is more than 2, and MRI of the liver you can do. Okay, then I will tell you what is the normal levels of plasma iron. These are the normal levels, and what happens in hereditary hemochromatosis and what happens in alcoholic liver disease. Okay, first we will take the plasma iron. What is the normal value of plasma iron? It is 50 to 150 microgram per deciliter. It is elevated in both these conditions, that is becomes more than 150, that is between 180 to 300. Then TIBC, that is total iron binding capacity, it is increased. Normally it is 250 to 370 microgram per deciliter, and it is increased in both the condition. And important is transferrin saturation. What is the normal transferrin saturation? It is between 22 to 45%. And hemochromatosis, hereditary hemochromatosis, it becomes 50 to 100, and in alcoholic liver disease it becomes 27 to 60 saturation. Then you will see the serum ferritin level. Normally it is between, in males it is 20 to 250, and it is in females it is between 15 to 150. And in hereditary hemochromatosis its level goes very high, that is if you are getting serum ferritin in the range of 1000 to 6000, you should suspect hereditary hemochromatosis. However, this level is not as much high in alcoholic liver disease. It becomes between 10 to 150 microgram per deciliter. Also, you will do the livers, you will see the liver iron in microgram per gram. Normally it is between 300 to 1400, and in hereditary hemochromatosis it goes between 6000 to 18000, and in alcoholic it is between alcoholic liver disease liver iron concentration is 300 to 2000. Okay, important here is to hepatic iron index. It is normally less than 1. In hereditary hemochromatosis it is more than 2. In alcoholic liver disease it is less than 2. Okay, so this is important. Now we will see how you are going to treat a patient of hereditary, that is how will you going to treat a patient of hemochromatosis. Your goal is to remove the iron. You will dump the iron, you will remove the iron from the body, and you will give a support to the failure of the organ. You will support the liver, pancreas and heart, supportive care, and you will remove the iron from the body. How will you remove the iron from the body? You can do the phlebotomy. In phlebotomy you can do weekly or you can do twice weekly. In the phlebotomy you will remove about 500 ml of the blood from the body, and this 500 ml of blood will remove around 200 to 250 milligram of iron from the body. Okay, so your target is you have to remove round about more than 25 gram of iron. This is the target, you have to remove the iron. So it roughly take around 1 to 2 years to remove this much of iron from the body. Okay, so you do the phlebotomy, and you can do the phlebotomy weekly or twice weekly, and you in the phlebotomy you remove about 500 ml of the blood, and this 500 ml of blood will remove around this much of iron, 200 to 250 milligram, but your target is removing more than 25 gram, which takes around 1 to 2 years. After that you put the patient on maintenance phlebotomy. In the maintenance phlebotomy you do phlebotomy after every 3 months, and your target for phlebotomy is to keep the ferritin level should be less than 100 microgram per liter. So this is the target you have to achieve with doing the phlebotomy. Okay, so if you can't do the phlebotomy, for example if the patient is having anemia or if the patient is having hypoproteinemia, you cannot do the phlebotomy because it will remove the blood and the protein, and that can complicate the situation. In that case you have to give the chelating agents. Okay, so what are the chelating agents? Chelating agents you can give is the deferoxamine. Deferoxamine is you can give subcutaneous infusions, and it will remove around 10 to 20 milligram of iron. Okay, you can also have oral preparation, that is Defira Sirox. Okay, so but these chelating agents are costly and there are side effects of these agents also, so these are not preferred. Preferred are the phlebotomies. If someone having some complication like anemia and hyperproteinemia, you can give the chelating agents. In the chelating agent, if you are going to give through parenteral route, you can give the deferoxamine, and if you are going to give the oral, you can give the Defirasirox. Okay, also you should avoid the conditions which can cause iron overload in the body. For example, you can avoid vitamin C, you can avoid iron, and if the patient having the liver is getting failed, you have to plan for liver transplant. So in this way you can manage the hemochromatosis. Thank you. That's all.